The world's police forces recently arrested hundreds of suspects across the globe after 3 years of listening in on an app that was supposed to be the most securely encrypted app in the world. The huge surveillance operation started years ago when a convicted drug smuggler offered the backdoor of his special new gangster phone to the FBI. Here are the details. Reuters reports that the ANoM app, Saga, started in mid-2018 when a convicted smuggler met with FBI agents and made them an offer. In exchange for a possible reduction in his sentence, he would give the Bureau a backdoor into the encrypted communications of a vast network of international organized crime groups. The smuggler had invested in developing an encrypted device which could be used by criminals around the world to avoid police surveillance. The new device, called ANoM, was a modified mobile phone fitted with customized encryption software that made it very secure. The smuggler planned to provide ANoM phones to a network of distributors linked to organized crime groups. A new user would need to be vouched for by an existing user, which gave the system an added level of trust. Within 3 years, ANoM would be used by criminals in 90 countries to send tens of millions of messages referring to murder plots, drug deals, corruption, and money laundering, including 450,000 images of big bundles of cash and cocaine. And all along, the FBI and other police forces were listening in. The details of the operation, codenamed Trojan Shield, were included in an FBI affidavit filed in a U.S. court on May 17, 2021. The affidavit states that more than 20,000 encrypted devices had been used by 300 criminals in more than 100 countries. 27 million messages had been reviewed by police services over a period of 18 months, and at least 800 arrests were made while 700 locations were searched worldwide. An investigative report by the New York Times, The Guardian, Motherboard, Süddeutsche Zeitung, and German public broadcaster NDR has uncovered a systematic program to harvest data from the phones of tourists entering Xinjiang. According to a report in The Guardian, tourists entering Xinjiang by land from Kyrgyzstan are forced to unlock their phones at border checkpoints and give their PIN codes to border officials. The phones are taken away by Chinese authorities to a separate room. iPhones are plugged into a reader that scans them, while Android phones have a spyware app called Feng Cai installed on them. The malware downloads emails, text messages, phone contacts, call logs, and scans the device for more than 73,000 different items, including images and videos related to Islamic terrorism or the Quran. A traveler told The Guardian he had been alerted by an international travel agent and by tourist information while in Kyrgyzstan that something would happen to his phone at the border. He said they expected a GPS tracker would be installed. He checked his phone after he got it back and found the malware. In most cases, the Android app is uninstalled by authorities before the phone is returned to the tourist. However, some tourists have still found the app installed on their phones. In his famous novel 1984, George Orwell described a world where a totalitarian government controlled what people were allowed to think, and where government officials could see and hear everything that everyone did and said. Now, Microsoft's president says this dystopian nightmare might become reality only 3 years from now. Here are the details. Microsoft President Brad Smith told the BBC's Panorama program that the authoritarian hell depicted in George Orwell's novel 1984 could come to pass in 2024 if lawmakers didn't protect the public against AI. Smith was interviewed for a Panorama episode that explores China's increasing use of AI to monitor its citizens. Smith said, "If we don't enact the laws that will protect the public in the future, we are going to find the technology racing ahead, and it's going to be very difficult to catch up." Smith said Orwell's book was about a government that could see and hear everything that everyone did and said. The Panorama episode also looks at the complex competition between the West and China to create increasingly sophisticated AI for surveillance and control. China is currently the world leader in this, and 54% of the world's 770 million CCTV cameras are in China. The U.S. government's AI chief, Eric Schmidt, also spoke to Panorama, saying that Western democracies need to create strategies to beat China in the field of AI. AI applications rely on mountains of data to train algorithms to recognize patterns and make decisions. Much of this data is harvested from us without us realizing it. Internet companies track our clicks to learn our preferences for products or news articles. Facebook recently announced it will begin to train AI models with public videos that users have uploaded on Facebook. Danish media say that the Danish Spy Agency helped the US to spy on powerful people and politicians in Western Europe from 2012 to 2014. And the famous NSA whistleblower, Edward Snowden, says US President Joe Biden was deeply involved in this scandal when he was vice president to Barack Obama. Here are the details. The BBC reports that Denmark's Secret Service helped the US to spy on European politicians, such as German Chancellor Angela Merkel from 2012 to 2014, according to Danish media. The Danish public service broadcaster DR says Denmark's Defense Intelligence Service, or FE, collaborated with America's NSA to gather information. The NSA is said to have accessed text messages and the phone conversations of a number of prominent individuals in Germany, France, Sweden, and Norway by tapping into Danish internet cables in cooperation with the FE. Following the new report, the famous NSA whistleblower Edward Snowden accused US President Joe Biden of being deeply involved in this scandal the first time around. Biden was US Vice President at the time the reported surveillance took place. The alleged setup, said in the report to have been codenamed Operation Dunhammer, allowed the NSA to obtain data using the telephone numbers of politicians as search parameters. Similar allegations emerged in 2013. At that time, the Obama administration gave no outright denial, but said Mrs. Merkel's phone was not being bugged at the time and would not be in the future. Denmark's Defense Minister Trine Bramsen told DR that systematic wiretapping of close allies is unacceptable. MIT analyzed the infamous chaos hack that targeted iPhones and found evidence suggesting the Chinese government is using civilian hacking competitions to find new hacks for its strategic hacking program, saying that China seemed to have used such a hack as part of its genocidal strategy to erase its Muslim minority. Here are the details. MIT's Technology Review magazine recently analyzed the infamous chaos hack that targeted iPhones in 2018, suggesting that China used a civilian competition to create the hack and then used it to spy on its Uyghur Muslim minority. The US accuses China of committing genocide against its Uyghur population. The magazine linked the hack to a statement made in 2017 by the CEO of the Chinese cybersecurity giant Qihu 360 when he said Chinese hackers should stop participating in international hacking competitions, as such competitions give tech companies the chance to fix the hacks before China could use it to spy on people. The Chinese government agreed, forbidding its hackers to participate in such competitions. The next year, the first Tianfu Cup competition was held in China, where citizens are forced by law to help Chinese spy agencies. The magazine says that US officials and tech companies later found that the prize-winning hack at that Tianfu Cup was very similar to the hack used later that year to infiltrate iPhones used by Uyghurs. For the past 7 years, China has committed human rights abuses against the Uyghur people and other minority groups in the western province of Xinjiang. Well-documented aspects of the campaign include detention camps, systemic compulsory sterilization, organized torture and rape, forced labor, and an unparalleled surveillance effort. The US and a number of other countries have called the actions a genocide. SFGate reports that a recent massive glacial avalanche in Tibet was predicted by scientists who studied images created by a constellation of small satellites, each no bigger than a shoebox. Operated by a company called Planet, these satellites weigh just over 5 kilograms each and fly in flocks of around 175 satellites. If one fails, the company replaces it. And as better batteries, solar arrays, and cameras become available, the company simply updates its satellites. Thus, a quiet and often overlooked revolution has taken place in the way satellites are manufactured and operated. The result is an explosion of data and imagery from orbit. Like computers, satellites have also shrunk drastically. Instead of being the size of a truck, costing as much as $400 million, satellites now are often no larger than a microwave. They now cost as little as $1 million or less and can be mass-produced in factories. Their numbers have also grown significantly. The number of satellites in operation almost tripled from 2015 to about 3,371 by the end of 2020.
For more news animations and explainers, hit the subscribe and bell button to join the TomoNews family. Thanks for watching.